Good evening and welcome to the State Basketball Championship Seeding and Selection Show brought to you by Western Sky Community Care. This is where we announce the teams and matchups and break down the bracket a little bit. Before we get started, how about a little roll call? I know the Sandia girls basketball team is together watching. Shout it out, Matadors, you're in the field and playing some good ball right now. Who will you be playing in the first round? Well, you're going to have to wait. The Clovis Christian girls basketball team is anxiously awaiting in front of their screen tonight. The Logan boys and girls are watching at their school. I know Tularosa is checking out the show in their gym. I hope the screen is big and you can see your name come up nice and large. And speaking of down south, Gadsden is watching tonight. Hello, Panthers! The Kirtland Central boys and girls are watching, so shout out to my friends in the Four Corners. The Tohatchee boys and girls are both watching tonight as well. The Cougars want to know where they land. The Highland Lady Hornets are watching at Highland High School in the alumni room. That's a nice setup they have there, by the way. The boys are watching at Coach Woody's house. Hey, where was my invite, Coach Woody? Speaking of coaches, Coach Davidson and the Bosque Bobcats are checking us out. The Melrose boys are watching this one. Kevin Lackey and the bunch want to know who they will play in the first round. Chaparral is at their team captain's house tonight, so thanks for hosting your team. Aye, aye, Captain. The Springer Red Devils are watching. So are the Capital Jaguars, who pulled off a big win over rival Santa Fe on Saturday night. The Hot Springs Tigers are all eyes and all ears. Listen, just tell me who you want to play in the first round, and I'll see if I can line it up for you. Just shout it out right now. Yell it at the screen. Go ahead. I'm listening. Okay, well, I can't hear anything. So you're all watching the show to find out who's in, what seed did you get, and who you'll play. But before we get to that, let's review the seeding process so there's no confusion. The following criteria is used to determine a team's seed. This criteria was voted on by the member schools. We look at finish in regular season district play, Max Preps rankings, overall record, wins against district champs, regardless of class, coaches' input, and head-to-head matchups. There is no input given by the NMAA. Everyone say it with me now. No input by the NMAA. It's all data-driven. There is no bias for or against any school or team. You may have seen the instructional video demonstrating the entire process, so there should be no confusion on how your school received the seeding they did. The process is spelled out with the criteria points that was voted on by the member schools. Let's start with the ladies in Class 1A. Anybody have a guess who's the number one seed? Well, if you have the NMAA 24/7 app, you already know because we released the top seeds on the app earlier today. For those one or two people who don't have the app, the top honor in Class 1A goes to Logan. Logan is the first number one seed of the day. Earlier this season, Logan won the EPAC tournament for the first time in 43 years. They came back from 16 points down and 2 overtimes to win that championship, so they know something about fighting to the finish. Their style is fast with high intensity. They lost to rival Melrose in the district championship game last week, but they are ready to make a run in this bracket.
I feel very blessed to be on one of the most talented and athletic teams that Logan Varsity Girls Basketball has ever had. And I believe we're playing really good solid ball right now, but we haven't peaked yet. And going in the state tournament, we're very focused, we're very humbled, and we're very hungry. And I just believe with God's favor that we can bring home the blue.
Winning a state championship title with the group of girls I have this year would be a huge accomplishment, not only to me, but to my coaches and teammates, especially seeing that we haven't won a girls' state basketball title since 2013. And especially seeing that it's my senior year, and it would make it even more bittersweet and special to all of us.
We previously won the 2019 state championship volleyball game. We went in the underdogs and learned a lot about perseverance and having the right mindset. It really shows this basketball season. 10 of the 14 girls that were on that team now play basketball. And we learned that it doesn't matter how strong you start the season, it matters how strong you finish it. And we've had an amazing start and hope to have an even better finish. And we can't wait to see what the state tournament is holding for us.
Let's take a look at that first bracket. Girls Class 1A, it's Logan against Dora. Tatum will take on Cimarron. Mosquero Roy will face Animas. Pine Hill earned a 4 and will host Hondo Valley. Then it's Fort Sumner and Mountain Air. Now Mountain Air finished behind Hondo Valley in district, so Hondo has to be seated above them. Gateway Christian and Clovis Christian, To'Hajiilee and Camado. Melrose is the 2 seed and will take on Cliff. Moving on to Class 2A, Peñasco has been the number one team most of the year, and they are still number one. Peñasco has the number one seed. They are 27-2 on the year. Their only losses are to Bernalillo and Escalante, but the Panthers haven't lost in a month. The Peñasco girls have never won a state title, and they are heading into this year's bracket with one goal, getting that blue trophy. It's been a goal since practice started in 2019.
We talked about it since day one. I think every year you should go in and your goal should be state. If you're not trying to win, then I don't know what you're playing for.
People are like, oh, they've made it to state for 4 years. They haven't done anything. They're not good. But this year we're coming out to get that championship.
I've told these guys all season, or these girls all season, is you guys get a chance to write your own story. It doesn't matter what the rankings are and none of that. Your failures from the past. My team failed a lot, but you learn from those, and you let all that stuff, the doubt, the failures, you let all that fuel you.
Peñasco is the 1. You will face Loving in the opening round. Here is the girls 2A bracket. Escalante and Rehoboth is the 8-9 matchup. Magdalena, the 5. They will meet Cuesta. Lordsburg will host Cloudcroft this week. On the other side of the bracket, it's Newcomb and McCurdy. Texaco will take on Clayton. Texaco lifted a girls basketball blue trophy back in 2018. And some of these girls won a state title in volleyball just a few months ago. Defending state champ Pecos is a 7 seed this year. They will host Alamo Navajo. Last year's state runner-up, Mescalero Apache, is the 2 seed. Their first round matchup is Eunice. Moving on to girls Class 3A. The top team in the bracket is Navajo Prep and head coach Rainey Crisp. They are 24-2. with their only losses coming at the hands of Gallup and Kirtland Central. Navajo Prep is currently riding a 12-game win streak and just blowing out opponents, winning by an average of 30 points a game during that stretch. Head coach Rainey Crisp knows a little something about winning state titles. She did it as a player and a coach with Navajo Prep. She says she hasn't had this much talent on a team since the last time they won it all in 2009.
We've come close. We had our great runs, but this year, they all have that unique thing that they bring to the team. I think, that's going to get us that run to the Blue Trophy.
Let's take a look at who else is in the field of the girls 3A bracket. Navajo Prep gets Crown Point in the opening round. The winner will face either Laguna Acoma or Tucumcari. Hatch Valley's a 5 seed. Ben Trujillo's group is 22-6 after winning their district tournament championship. The Bears will host Zuni. West Las Vegas will meet district rival St. Michael's in the opening round. Tohatchi earned a 3 seed and will take on Dexter. I know Dexter's watching. This Tohatchi group is up-tempo with pressure defense, and they're exciting to watch. Montana Soto is scoring about 13 points a game, and Cameron Sosi adds about a dozen a night. Santa Fe Indian School is the 6. More on them in just a moment as they match up with Theroux. Socorro is a 7 against defending state champ Robertson. Tularosa is the 2. Are you happy with that number, ladies? I know you're watching. In Tularosa, you will see Sandia Prep this week. Now, Santa Fe Indian School reached the final last year, but they came up short. That was their first appearance in the title since 2012. Head coach Patricia Chavez is in her 2nd year in charge of the Lady Braves. She says her team is peaking at the right time.
I think the kids are really starting to trust each other and bond together. Sometimes it's not about X's and O's. It's really about that camaraderie, about, being together as a team and sharing the love, I call it. And just recently, in the last few weeks, the kids came up with a championship mentality. We got to come up with a championship mentality and play like that every game.
It's a new season once it comes to state. Like, your rankings really doesn't matter. If you beat them like 3 times, it really doesn't matter because it's a new season. Everybody wants that blue trophy just like we want it.
Just to get that blue and that, the medal and everything is just a feeling that we all want to have.
On to Class 4A. The state's 2nd largest classification has been dominated by Los Lunas. The Tigers have won back-to-back titles and played in the final 6 of the last 7 years. In the words of their coach and Sister Sledge, we are family.
The Los Lunas girls basketball program and head coach Marty Zeller set up residency at the pit every March.
My first year here was it was a big deal. The big saying was trip to the pit, trip to the pit, which, the group didn't even know what Selection Sunday was.
They've come a long way from trip to the pit to expecting to make it to the final every season. They've played in the title game 6 of the last 7 years.
Zeller calls it our home away from home. So, I don't want to say that we're used to being there, but we for sure expect to be there. Coach Zeller always talks about our standard and that our standard is set really high, and our expectations is to play in the pit that Friday night every year. It's expected of us.
This team's definitely expected to win another state title.
But winning back-to-back titles last year wasn't on everybody's mind.
If I were going to pick out a particular year that would be a surprise, it would have been last year, because the year before we won state and we lost our top 5 scorers and we lost our top 5 players, so to speak.
It was just so special because we lost so many key players the year before. So just coming back and winning it again, it felt like it was our team, and we proved that we could do it on our own.
And now they're in a position to do it a 3rd straight time. Not much has changed in regards to their style. This group will press, push the ball offensively with an easy basket mentality.
If you steal the basketball, we're looking to push and every opportunity we possibly can. If we're going to steal the basketball and hold it, we're not going to have those opportunities.
Kind of just a give and go, all gas, no brakes, you know? Just got to keep running, tire teams out, and that's how we play.
Zeller only has 8 varsity players. He says he gives them a conditioning test on day 1 to determine if they're either varsity material or they're not.
It's a good test. You do get tired the first day, but it's nice just to come into the program, especially if you're new, and just know that if you want to play for this team, you have to be in shape. That's one of the priorities.
Due in part to that conditioning, Zeller usually has his team peaking at the right time.
In the 2015 year, we were 5-2 and we finished 30-2. And this year we were 5-4, and we were close to 5-5, close to 500.
And now they haven't lost since late December.
They had set a goal at the beginning of the year to go undefeated this year, and I thought that was pretty unrealistic, as young as we are. So maybe next year, and I mean, we're moving up to 5A, so if you're going to do it, let's go, bring it on. You know, we want Hobbs and Piedra Vista, Volcano Vista, La Cueva.
To all Class 5A teams, be ready. The Tigers will be coming soon, and we've seen what they're capable of.
Los Lunas are in the top spot in their bracket. They haven't lost since the day after Christmas. Their only loss to a team in their classification was dropping to Kirtland Central earlier in the year. More on Kirtland in just a minute. But first, for those watch parties with their phones in hand, waiting to take a picture of the screen to post it on social media, okay, frame it up. Make sure you got everything ready to hit snap. We'll go for it. Girls 4A bracket, here's the rest of the field. Los Lunas will see St. Pius again. Espanola is an 8 and Bloomfield a 9. I'll explain how they got there in just a moment. Pewaukee is a 5 against Lovington. Highland is hosting as a 4. They get Goddard. Portales is a 3 against Valley. Bernalillo gets Grants. Gallup dropped to a 10 seed to see Silver, the 7. Then it's Shiprock and Kirtland Central. Wow, now that is a first-round matchup. Couple things from this bracket. Gallup finished 3rd in their district behind Bloomfield, so they can't get into the field until Bloomfield gets in. The same situation applied to Goddard and Lovington. Goddard finished below Lovington in district, so they can't be seated above them. Now, when it comes to Espanola and Pewaukee, they tied in the regular season, although Espanola beat Pewaukee head-to-head. But remember, this is based on those 6 criteria points. And when you compare the two, Pewaukee is ahead of them in criteria points. When you compare Espanola and teams like Bernalillo and Silver, Espanola still didn't have the criteria points to be seated above those 2 schools. So Bernalillo is the 6 and Silver the 7. Then it's Espanola at 8. It's all about those criteria points. The final bracket for the girls is Class 5A. Hobbs came up short in the final last year, but they reeled off 24 straight wins to start the year. They earned the #1 seed in their bracket. Their only loss up to this point is dropping their final game of the regular season to Carlsbad by just 2 points. Wisdom Anthony is their leading scorer with over 13 points a game. You can expect another pressing up and down attacking team when you face them. Hobbs won it all in 2018 under head coach Joey Carpenter. Congrats to the Eagles on the #1 spot. Now, one team that's never won a state title in girls basketball is Piedra Vista. They hope to change that this month. Their leading scorer, Lene Billy, hopes to follow in her mom's footsteps and lift that blue trophy.
2 years ago, the Piedra Vista girls basketball team finished with 23 wins. Last year, it was 26 and a Final Four appearance in the state tournament. This year, they're trying to top that with their first ever state title.
Mostly everyone from last year came back, so we definitely want to redeem what we did last year and get that blue trophy.
Everyone has the same goal right now, and that's state. And so everyone's really determined to hold up that blue trophy.
Lene Billy is their leading scorer. She reached the 1,000-point plateau for her career earlier this season, and she's only a sophomore.
And the good thing about it is she's a very unselfish player. You know, she averages about 4 assists a game, and she plays both ends of the court. She's just an all-around basketball player, one of the smartest basketball players I've seen in a long time.
Lene's mom was a state champ herself at Shiprock High School.
It'd be really great to do what my mom did and follow her footsteps.
The Panthers also get plenty of production from the Watson sisters, Elena and Selena.
Definitely competitive. It's really fun, but it's kind of like a thing I've grown up with, so I feel like I know exactly where she is on the court, and it really helps me as a player.
Elena Watson committed to play at Adams State, and she says a midseason loss helped get the previously unbeaten Panthers back on track.
When we lost to Sandia, that really stalled the pressure off of us, but we're going strong.
Yeah, you know, we had that target on our back for a long time, and this year, and we had that loss at Sandia, and it kind of woke us up a little bit. It was a good loss. The girls came in to practice. Our practices have been better, and you know, I don't think there's any pressure. Pressure is man-made, so you know, just go out there and do your job, have fun, and the results will take care of itself.
We will see what kind of results the Panthers end up with in mid-March.
Like some other teams at this point in the year, Piedra Vista is dealing with some injuries. Haley Blackie suffered a torn ACL, and Chanel Penn has a broken foot, but this squad is deep. They beat La Cueva in the district tournament championship game. Release the bracket. Here's the Class 5A lineup. Hobbs will host Albuquerque High in the opening round. Carlsbad, the only team to beat Hobbs, is an 8 seed, and Cibola 9, so the Cougars are headed south. Mayfield will meet Cleveland. La Cueva is the 4 against Oñate. La Cueva's Kaya Ingram is averaging 19 points a night. On the other side of the bracket, it's Volcano Vista against Deming. The Hawks won their district tournament championship and last won state in 2016. Centennial is the 6th seed against defending state champ West Mesa. The Sandia Matadors are the 7 and will take on Farmington. Manzano marched right into the bracket to take on 2nd seed Piedra Vista. Now, on to the boys. Let's start with Class 1A. Melrose is the 2-time defending state champ, looking for a three-peat, and they will start their run from the top of the mountain. Melrose is the number 1 seed in 2020. Tate Sorgen is their leading scorer. He's a double-double guy at 17 points and 10 boards a night. Senior Tristan Senna is also a key component to this group at 14 points a game. This group is stingy. They only allow 38 points a game. A three-peat is something that hasn't happened in a long time in the boys' smallest classification. The last time it happened was when San Juan won it all in 61, 62, and 63.
You know, we talked about the first day of the season just about the historical significance. There's only been one team in the early 60s that's a 1A team that has won 3 in a row. And that's pretty impressive whenever you look at, you know, the powerhouses that have been in 1A over the last 30, 40 years. So in that aspect, we talked about just that we're chasing history, but that's really all we talk about from there. We're just trying to be the best version of ourselves and trying to get better every day. We're getting every team's best effort. They're coming at us hard every night, and we have to be up for the challenge. We can't take nights off, and we just have to try to you know, match their energy level every night, and that's been a big challenge this year.
Let's take a look at that boys Class 1A bracket. Dora gets in as a 16 seed and will take on Melrose. Grady San Juan House will play Camado. Springer's the 5. They'll host Hondo Valley. Now, Evangel Christian Oak Grove jumped up to a 4 seed because of those criteria points. They were first in district. Their overall record is 22-5 with multiple wins against district champs regardless of class. We'll show you a comparison here in just a moment, but let's go over the rest of the bracket first. Evangel Christian Oak Grove will see Cimarron this week. Tatum is 3rd against Jemez Valley. Then it's Fort Sumner and Mountain Air. Elida is 7 against Logan. And don't sleep on Maxwell. They lost to Melrose twice this season, but they gave Melrose a run for their money in the Mountaineer Invitational back in January. Maxwell will meet New Mexico School for the Deaf. Gateway Christian was left out of the bracket because Dora was the last team in, and Dora has to get in before Gateway Christian. As I was mentioning before, Evangel Christian Oak Grove landed at the 4 seed because they had criteria points over several schools. Let's take, for example, the Evangel Christian Oak Grove comparison against a school like Springer. Here are the 6 criteria points. Evangel Christian Oak Grove was higher in coaches' input. Springer was 4th in max preps, and Evangel Oak Grove was 9, so Springer gets that criteria point. Evangel Christian Oak Grove won their district, while Springer finished 2nd, so they get another point. Evangel Oak Grove had a win percentage of .815, while Springer was .808, so there's another point. Evangel Christian Oak Grove had 4 wins against district champs, while Springer only had 1, and they didn't play head-to-head. So Evangel Christian Oak Grove outscored a school like Springer 4-1. That's how the process works. Moving on to Class 2A, Pecos has lifted a blue trophy in each of the last 3 years. They're going for 4 in a row. The seniors on this team don't know anything other than winning state titles. The Panthers are number 1 heading into the 2020 tournament. They are an impressive 25-1. Their only blemish was a loss to Santa Fe back in December. Now, Pecos is on a 22-game win streak. Senior Xavier Padilla is averaging over 18 points a game. They play up-tempo, they pressure. They're looking to run you out of the gym. They played and beat 5A Clovis earlier this season. Head coach Ira Harge says it's games like those that prepare him for this month.
We know what it takes to try and get to the championship game, or just try to get past the first round for that matter, and it's hard, and it's a new season, and so we try to stack our schedule and play the toughest teams we can play.
Pecos is 1, Estancia is 16. They match up in the first round. So do Dulce and Rehoboth as the 8-9. Newcomb is 5. They will meet Mesilla Valley. Mesilla has some size this year with 6 guys over 6 feet on the roster, including a pair of 6'5" players. Manal is the 4 and will host Escalante. Santa Rosa earned a 3 seed and will match up with Mescalero Apache. Jal and Mora will meet this weekend. Texco will take on Navajo Pine. McCurdy is in as a 15. At the bottom of the bracket, it's Magdalena, or shall I say undefeated Magdalena, 27-0. Magdalena was scheduled to play Pecos in the regular season, but bad weather prevented that much anticipated matchup from happening. They have 4 players that have scored 30 points or more at least once this season. Jordan Mirabal is averaging almost 18 points a game. His brother Jackson throws in 16, and so does Owen Olney.
I would say, if I was going to sum it up in one word, I'd say very unselfish. We play a team concept on both ends of the floor, and I think that's where we have most of our success. Any of our starting 5 could have one of those breakout nights and so I think right now we have 4 kids averaging double figures, and it's the first time in my career at a small school where you have all 5 of your starting 5 can dunk a basketball, so that's kind of exciting for us.
Let's talk boys Class 3A, the number 1 seed. Who did it go to? Let me think about that. Oh, that's right, the Sandia Prep Sun Devils. The Sun Devils are led by 6'5" Sam Henderson, who scores over 23 points a game. Sandia Prep is big. They start 3 players who are 6'3", 6'4", and 6'5". The Sun Devils are your number 1 seed. Here's the rest of the bracket. They get Cuba in the opening round. Winner will take on either Tularosa or Cobre. West Las Vegas will take on Tohatchee. Robertson will face Theroux. Robertson's leading scorer is sophomore Matthew Gonzalez, who's putting up over 18 points a night. This group has great guard play. And look out for the Bosque Bobcats and Elijah Davidson. The 6'4" senior is one of the top players in the state. Bosque will take on Raton. St. Michael's and Santa Fe Indian School aren't far from each other for their first round game. Navajo Prep and New Mexico Military Institute will meet. Then it's Hot Springs and Socorro. Now Robertson, St. Michael's, and West Las Vegas were all tied, so the 6 criteria points were used to break the tie between them. Hot Springs is the defending state champ. They graduated 4 from that squad last year and brought back 9 players with varsity experience. After head coach Derek Bean won his first, he's ready to do it again with this group.
Hungry for another one. They really enjoyed it. They were sick and tired of being told no, 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 and being at the bottom, and they're really rising to the occasion.
Only 2 more brackets to reveal. Let's take this time to allow those at a watch party to get a refill or maybe seconds on your snack plate. Go ahead. I'll wait. Get me some while you're at it. I'll wait here. I'm sure the boys 4A and 5A teams are about to throw something at the screen right now, all anxious, waiting to see. The Valley Vikings can't be angry. They are in the top spot. The defending state champs will start this go-round as the number 1 seed. Joe Coleman's bunch is full of players who suited up in last year's title game, and this time they are the hunted instead of the hunter.
Well, I mean, like last year, we showed up and we were 7th seed, so anybody can win this thing, and it's nice to have.
Now they want to know who they'll play. Here you go, the boys 4A bracket. Valley's district opponents, Hope, Highland, Del Norte, and Academy all made the field. Santa Teresa was the last team in as a 16 seed and will take on the defending state champs. Taos will take on Valencia. Hope Christian is a 5. Their leading scorer is Sean Martinez with 17 points a game. Jim Murphy's group likes to run, and they play tough defense every year. Hope will host Academy. Artesia gets Grants. Highland is coming off a really strong week, capped off by a win over Valley. The Hornets will host Lovington. Los Lunas takes on Del Norte. Espanola Valley and Kirtland Central will meet up, and Chaparral gets Gallup. Little dissection here. Chaparral is the regular season district champ. Congrats. So they're in. And teams like Santa Teresa and Lovington won their district tournaments. So they're in, which explains why a team like Goddard is out. Last but not least, boys class 5A. Anybody can win this. Keep in mind, in the last couple of years in the state's largest classification, we've seen a 6-seed win it all, a 3-seed, an 11-seed win it all as well. The last time a number 1 seed won it all for the boys' state's largest classification was 2015. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen this year. With a 25-3 record, Las Cruces was the leading candidate for the number 1 seed, and the Bulldogs got it. Las Cruces is number 1. Their only losses are to Volcano Vista, and then a pair of defeats at the hands of Oñate. Las Cruces is looking for redemption after an early first-round exit last year. This Las Cruces is number 1, and everyone will be chasing Las Cruces as the lead dog. Trisco Heritage is the 2-time defending state champ. The Jaguars beat Santa Fe in a fantastic atmosphere at the final last year. Now this team is led by Josiah Ramos, one of the top shooters in the state. And while Trisco is guard-oriented and can shoot plenty of threes, 3 is not a number they like to discuss when it comes to state.
There's no talk of three-peat, although they hear it every day from the teachers, they hear it every day from their peers, they hear it every day from Twitter. It's one of those things that's really hard to focus them up because there's just so much media outlets out there.
So, who will Las Cruces meet up in the first round? What seed did defending champ Trisco get? When are they serving dessert at your watch party? These are all questions we want to know. And here are some of the answers. You want them, you got them. Here's the Class 5A 16 seeds for the 2020 state basketball tournament. Las Cruces will host Gadsden. Welcome to the party, Panthers. Clovis beat Hobbs in the district tournament championship game. They will take on La Cueva. Trisco Heritage is your 5, and look who they get. District foe Volcano Vista. That's just how the seeding sizes up based on those criteria points. That's sure to be a first-round battle, though, between 2 teams that really know each other. Oñate is the 4. Oñate's Ricky Lujan put up 23 points the other night in their win against Las Cruces. Santa Fe is a 3 and will host Carlsbad. And look at this district rival first-round matchup. Rivals Cleveland and Rio Rancho. Hobbs will host El Dorado, and Capital is the 2 seed. They will match up against Centennial. Again, all of those brackets were determined by the seeding criteria. There was no input given by the NMAA. Should provide for some great basketball. That's going to do it for the 2020 State Basketball Seeding and Selection Show, brought to you by Western Sky Community Care. I encourage all of you to get out to the games. This state is passionate about basketball, and every March seems to provide upsets and exciting action. But if you can't get there in person, you can watch the action from the quarterfinals through the finals on the NFHS Network. Go to nfhsnetwork.com and purchase a subscription. Don't turn this off just yet. I have a couple more things. First, I hope you've all been watching Game Time, our weekly high school sports show, which can be seen right here on our website. This week, we will have a special edition of Game Time, a state basketball tournament preview with an even closer look at some of these teams that we talked about tonight. Look for it starting on Tuesday. And lastly, let's all remember to compete with class. This game and this tournament is about more than just winning. It's about respecting your opponent, playing with integrity and responsibility. Players, parents, fans, coaches, let's all compete with class and set a good example for others. That's all for tonight. Good luck to all the teams, and we will see you on the court.